They say blood is thicker than water. That family will always have your back. That your grandchildren are God's reward for not killing your own kids. Well, I'm here to tell you that's garbage. My name is Margaret Louise Hartford. I'm 72 years old, and I'm about to tell you how the three people I loved most in this world, my own flesh and blood, stripped me of everything I had, my money, my dignity, my home, everything. But here's the twist they didn't see coming. They didn't get it all, because 50 years ago, my husband taught me something about trust. He said, Maggie, always keep something for yourself, something nobody knows about, something that can save you when the wolves come knocking. Turns out my grandchildren were the wolves, and that oak tree in my backyard, it was hiding my salvation. Let me take you back to when life was good. When my house was full of laughter instead of lies. My husband Thomas died 12 years ago, heart attack. 1 minute he was mowing the lawn, the next minute he was gone. We'd been married 46 years, built a good life together. He was a contractor, hardworking man who knew the value of a dollar. I was a nurse for 38 years at St. Mary's Hospital. We weren't millionaires, but we were comfortable, real comfortable. Paid off house in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio, nice neighborhood, good schools nearby. We'd saved well, invested smart, and by the time Thomas passed, I had about $800,000 in savings and investments. The house was worth another $400,000 plus some jewelry, cars, the usual stuff. I had one son, Michael, my pride and joy. He married a sweet girl named Rachel, and together they gave me 3 beautiful grandchildren, twin boys, Jason and Tyler, and their little sister, Emma. Michael worked in finance. Rachel was a teacher. They lived 20 minutes away, came for Sunday dinners, called me every week. My grandkids were everything to me. Jason and Tyler were 22 when this story really starts. Emma was 19, smart kids, college educated, full of potential. I loved them more than life itself. And then, 3 years ago, everything changed. Michael and Rachel were driving home from an anniversary dinner. Some drunk driver ran a red light going 70 miles an hour. T-boned them at the intersection. They died instantly. Both of them gone in a flash. I lost my only child, and those 3 kids lost their parents. The grief was unbearable, absolutely unbearable. But we had each other, right? I told Jason, Tyler, and Emma, you'll always have me. Grandma's here. We're family. We'll get through this together. I opened my home to them. They moved in with me, all 3 of them. And for the first few months, it felt right, like we were healing together, like we were honoring Michael and Rachel by staying close. I should have seen the signs, should have noticed when comfort turned into calculation, but when you love someone, you're blind to their darkness until it's too late. It started small, so small I barely noticed. Jason came to me about 6 months after the funeral, found me in the kitchen making dinner. He sat down at the table with this sad look on his face. Grandma, can I talk to you about something? Of course, sweetheart. What's wrong? He sighed real heavy. I've been thinking about Mom and Dad a lot, about how hard they worked to give us a good life. And I feel like I need to make them proud, you know? You already make them proud, honey. I want to start a business. Something Dad would have been proud of, an investment consulting firm. I've got the knowledge, the connections, the degree. I just need startup capital. My heart swelled. This was my grandson wanting to honor his father, wanting to build something. How much do you need? 50,000 would get me started. I know it's a lot, Grandma, but I'll pay you back, I promise, with interest. I wrote him a check that same day, $50,000. Didn't even hesitate. 2 weeks later, Tyler came to me, wanted to buy into a friend's tech startup. This is the next big thing, Grandma, like getting in on Apple in the early days. I could turn 40,000 into $500,000 in 2 years. I believed him, gave him 40,000. Then Emma, my sweet Emma, she needed money for graduate school applications and living expenses while she figured out her career. 20,000. Within 3 months, I'd handed over $110,000 to my grandchildren. And you know what? It felt good. It felt like I was helping them build their futures, like I was being a good grandmother. But then the requests kept coming and coming and coming. Jason's business needed more funding just to get through the startup phase, Grandma. This is totally normal. Tyler's investment needed another injection. We're so close to the breakthrough, Grandma. Don't let me miss this opportunity. Emma needed a car. I can't get to job interviews without reliable transportation, Grandma. Every time they'd mention their parents, Mom and Dad would want us to succeed. Dad always said family invests in family. Mom would be so grateful you're helping us. They knew exactly what buttons to push. Within a year, I'd given them over $300,000, and I still didn't see it, still thought I was helping, still thought we were a family taking care of each other. Then things got more aggressive. Tyler sat me down one evening, put his hand on mine, looked me right in the eyes. Grandma, we need to talk about your finances. Rachel and I... He stopped, got emotional. Sorry, I mean Emma and I have been worried about you. You're not getting any younger and managing all these accounts, all this money. It's a lot for someone your age, someone my age, like I was senile. I managed just fine, Tyler. I know. But what if something happens? What if you have a medical emergency and nobody has access to your accounts? What if you forget to pay a bill and lose the house? Fear. He was planting fear. What are you suggesting? Just add us to your accounts. Joint ownership. That way, if anything happens, we can take care of things for you. We can make sure you're protected. Jason jumped in. It's what Mom and Dad would have wanted. They'd want to know you're taken care of. There it was again, using my dead son to manipulate me against my better judgment, against that little voice in my head screaming, no, I did it. I added all 3 of them to my bank accounts. Joint ownership, biggest mistake of my life. Within weeks, money started disappearing, large withdrawals I didn't make, transfers I didn't authorize. When I confronted them, they had excuses. Oh, that was for the business expenses, Grandma. I told you about that. That was for Emma's tuition. Remember? That was the car payment. You said we could use the account for household expenses. I didn't remember agreeing to any of it. But they made me feel like I was losing my mind, like I was the problem. Then came the house. Jason sat me down with a stack of papers. Grandma, we need to talk about estate planning. If something happens to you, this house goes into probate. It'll be tied up for years. Legal fees will eat up half its value. The smart thing, the thing that protects everyone, is to transfer the deed now. Put it in our names with you keeping lifetime residency rights. That way, when the time comes, everything's clean. I was exhausted, confused, grieving, manipulated. I signed the papers. 3 weeks later, I got an eviction notice. My own grandchildren, the kids I'd raised after their parents died, the kids I'd given everything to, were kicking me out of my house. I'll never forget the day Tyler told me I had to leave. I was in the kitchen making lunch. He walked in with his arms crossed, all business. "Grandma, we've decided to sell the house. Market's hot right now, and we need the equity for our investments. You'll need to be out by the end of the month." I dropped the knife I was holding. "What?" "The house is in our name now. We're selling it. You'll get a small cut for your lifetime residency clause, but the bulk of the proceeds stay with us. Tyler, this is my house. Your grandfather and I built this life. Was your house. You signed it over, remember, legal and binding." Emma walked in, didn't even look at me. "Jason already found a buyer. We close in 3 weeks. Where am I supposed to go?" Tyler shrugged, actually shrugged. "There are some nice senior apartments across town. We'll help you find something affordable." Affordable. I'd given them nearly everything I had, and they were talking about what I could afford. How could you do this? I loved you. I took you in. I gave you everything. And we appreciate it, Grandma. Jason appeared in the doorway. "But you need to understand. We're adults now. We have our own lives to build. We can't be responsible for you forever." I looked at their faces. These 3 people I'd loved more than anything, and I saw nothing. No remorse, no love, no recognition that they were destroying the woman who'd sacrificed everything for them. They'd bled me dry, and now they were throwing me away. I moved into a tiny studio apartment in a rough neighborhood, 500 square feet, 1 window, roaches in the walls. I had maybe $18,000 left to my name after they'd taken everything else. My savings, my investments, my home, my jewelry. They'd convinced me to sell it for cash months earlier. My car totaled in an accident while Tyler was driving it. Insurance money went straight into their pockets. I was 72 years old, virtually broke and completely alone. I sat in that studio apartment night after night, wondering how I'd gotten here, wondering if I should just give up. And then, one sleepless night at 3 a.m., I remembered the oak tree. I'll never forget the day Tyler told me I had to leave. I was in the kitchen making lunch. He walked in with his arms crossed, all business. "Grandma, we've decided to sell the house. Market's hot right now, and we need the equity for our investments. You'll need to be out by the end of the month." I dropped the knife I was holding. "What?" "The house is in our name now. We're selling it. You'll get a small cut for your lifetime residency clause, but the bulk of the proceeds stay with us. Tyler, this is my house. Your grandfather and I built this life. Was your house. You signed it over, remember, legal and binding." Emma walked in, didn't even look at me. "Jason already found a buyer. We close in 3 weeks. Where am I supposed to go?" Tyler shrugged, actually shrugged. "There are some nice senior apartments across town. We'll help you find something affordable." Affordable. I'd given them nearly everything I had, and they were talking about what I could afford. How could you do this? I loved you. I took you in. I gave you everything. And we appreciate it, Grandma. Jason appeared in the doorway. "But you need to understand. We're adults now. We have our own lives to build. We can't be responsible for you forever." I looked at their faces. These 3 people I'd loved more than anything, and I saw nothing. No remorse, no love, no recognition that they were destroying the woman who'd sacrificed everything for them. They'd bled me dry, and now they were throwing me away. I moved into a tiny studio apartment in a rough neighborhood, 500 square feet, one window, roaches in the walls. I had maybe $18,000 left to my name after they'd taken everything else. My savings, my investments, my home, my jewelry. They'd convinced me to sell it for cash months earlier. My car totaled in an accident while Tyler was driving it. Insurance money went straight into their pockets. I was 72 years old, virtually broke and completely alone. I sat in that studio apartment night after night, wondering how I'd gotten here, wondering if I should just give up. And then, one sleepless night at 3 a.m., I remembered the oak tree. 30 years ago, when Thomas was still alive, we had a scare. The bank we'd trusted for years almost went under. We got our money out just in time, but Thomas was shaken. He came home one Saturday with a plan. "Maggie, we're putting some insurance in place. Real insurance, the kind banks and governments can't touch." We went to a gold dealer. Thomas bought $30,000 worth of gold coins and bars, American Eagles, Krugerrands, pure 24-karat bars. And late one night, we buried it in a waterproof case under the old oak tree in our backyard, the tree where our son Michael had built a tree house as a kid, the tree that had been there longer than we had. Thomas made me memorize the location. 4 feet from the trunk, northwest side, 3 feet down. If everything goes to hell, Maggie, that gold is our lifeline. We never touched it, never told anyone about it, not even Michael. And in all the chaos of Thomas's death, my son's death, the manipulation, the theft, I'd completely forgotten. Until that night in the studio apartment when I was staring at the ceiling, wondering if life was even worth living anymore. The oak tree, the gold, it was still there. I waited until the next Tuesday, knew the kids would all be at work, working at their fancy offices bought with my money, driving their fancy cars bought with my money, living their fancy lives in my house. I took a taxi to my old neighborhood, let myself in through the back gate they'd forgotten to change the lock on, grabbed a shovel from the shed, and I dug 4 feet from the trunk, northwest side, 3 feet down. My arms were shaking, my back was screaming, but I kept digging. And then I hit it, the waterproof case, still sealed, still protected. I pulled it out, brushed off the dirt, opened the latches. Gold, beautiful, untouched gold. $30,000 worth 30 years ago, but gold prices had gone up, way up. I took that case to a dealer the same day. He tested every piece, all authentic, all pure. He offered me $168,000. I took it cash and check, split evenly for safety. For the first time in months, I could breathe. I didn't tell my grandchildren about the gold. It didn't give them the satisfaction of knowing they hadn't gotten everything. I moved out of that studio apartment into a nice senior living community, independent living, my own one-bedroom apartment, activities, meals included, safe, dignified, exactly what a woman my age deserves. I put the rest of the money into an account they can't touch, set up a trust with a lawyer who made sure that when I die, whatever's left goes to charity, not 1 penny to Jason, Tyler, or Emma. They sold my house for $650,000, split it 3 ways, bought expensive cars, took fancy vacations, lived the high life. Jason's business failed within a year. Tyler's investment was a scam. He lost everything. Emma dropped out of grad school and moved back in with her brothers. Last I heard, they're broke, living paycheck to paycheck, fighting over money. Karma's funny that way. I haven't spoken to them in 2 years. They tried calling once when they realized I wasn't dead and destitute, wanted to reconnect. I hung up. Because here's what I learned: blood doesn't make you family, love makes you family, respect makes you family. And when people show you who they really are, when they prove they only see you as a wallet, you believe them. I'm 72 years old. I have enough money to live comfortably for the rest of my days. I have friends here at the community. I volunteer at the library twice a week. I play bingo on Thursdays. I'm peaceful. And every night before I sleep, I think about that oak tree, about Thomas having the foresight to protect us, about how that buried gold saved my life. My grandchildren thought they'd taken everything, but they forgot the most important lesson my husband ever taught me. Always keep something for yourself, something nobody knows about, because the people you trust the most, they're often the ones who'll hurt you the worst. But if you're smart, if you prepare, you can survive even them. My name is Margaret Louise Hartford, and I survived.